Could an ancient cloth rewrite history and challenge modern science? Recent findings about the Shroud of Turin suggest it might. Dr. Brian Chilton presents intriguing evidence to support this claim. This mysterious artifact, debated for years, could change how we see history, science, and faith. But is it really what it seems? The Shroud of Turin, a 14-foot-long linen cloth, shows a faint image of a crucified man. The details of this image closely match the biblical accounts of Jesus Christ's crucifixion, sparking centuries of controversy. What makes the shroud so mysterious? First, the image on the cloth isn't a painting or made by any known artistic technique. The cloth also shows real bloodstains that match the wounds described in the Gospels, including a large stain under the left chest, which lines up with a puncture wound through the heart. The image on the shroud shows both the front and back of the man, with wounds consistent with those of a crucified person. These include marks on the wrists and feet where nails were driven, head wounds resembling a crown of thorns, and a side wound like the one described in the Gospel of John. Interestingly, the shroud's depiction of crucifixion matches Roman practices more accurately than medieval art. For example, the nails are shown going through the wrists, which is more anatomically correct for holding up a body. Skeptics long pointed to a carbon-14 test from the 1980s that dated the shroud to the medieval period, but this test has since been widely discredited. Why? The carbon dating of the Shroud of Turin may have been flawed because the sample likely came from a part of the cloth that had been repaired after fire damage, not the original material. There are a few reasons for this reconsideration. First, the sample was taken from a corner of the shroud, a spot that had likely been handled and repaired over centuries. Second, microscopic analysis showed the sample had both old and new fibers, meaning it wasn't truly representative of the entire cloth. So, if the shroud isn't from the Middle Ages, how old is it? Recent studies suggest it's much older. Plant particles found on the cloth date back to the 1st century and come from plants that bloomed in Jerusalem during late March to early April, aligning with the time of Jesus' crucifixion. For example, pollen from a thorn plant called Gundelia tournifortii, native to the Middle East, was found on the cloth. This plant blooms in spring, providing strong evidence that the shroud originated in the Jerusalem area during Jesus' time. New research also points to the origin of the linen. The flax used to make the shroud came from the western Levant, an area that includes Israel, Lebanon, and parts of Jordan and Syria. This suggests the shroud is from the Middle East, not medieval Europe, challenging the idea that it's a forgery. Additionally, researchers have found evidence of a burial custom involving placing coins over the eyes, a practice in 2nd century Judea. This adds another layer of authenticity to the shroud. Both images show similar detail and have three-dimensional information. However, the experimental image was made on a much smaller scale and used technology that wasn't available until recently. This brings us to a puzzling aspect of the shroud: the energy needed to create such an image. Calculations suggest it would have taken several billion watts of ultraviolet light to produce the image we see on the shroud. Some researchers even estimate it could have been as high as 34 trillion watts. To put this in perspective, if such a large amount of energy had been accompanied by heat, the cloth would have vaporized in less than 1/40 of a second. Yet, the shroud remains intact with its mysterious image. This implies that whatever created the image was not only incredibly powerful, but also worked in a way that challenges our current understanding of physics. You might wonder if any natural phenomenon could cause such effects. Right now, no natural phenomenon fully explains how the image on the shroud was formed. The closest analogies might come from nuclear physics or high-energy particle physics, but even these fall short of explaining the shroud's characteristics. These findings raise profound questions about the nature of the event that created the image. What kind of phenomenon could produce such intense radiation without heat? How does this fit with accounts of Christ's resurrection? For believers, these discoveries might be compelling evidence for the resurrection. For skeptics, they challenge us to explain physical phenomena that defy our current scientific understanding. Regardless of personal beliefs, the scientific implications are huge. We're looking at evidence of an event that involved energy levels beyond our current technological capabilities, occurring 2 millennia ago. The energy required to create the Shroud's image suggests a phenomenon we can't yet explain or replicate. This forces us to consider that there may be aspects of the physical world beyond our current understanding, and challenges the idea that our scientific knowledge is complete. Furthermore, the Shroud presents a unique case for interdisciplinary research. Investigating it requires knowledge from many fields, including physics, chemistry, biology, archaeology, history, and even theology. This approach could serve as a model for solving other complex scientific and historical mysteries. Let's step back and think about what this all means. If the Shroud of Turin is indeed Jesus' burial cloth, it's more than a historical artifact. It could be evidence of one of the most significant events in human history. Even if you're not religious, the implications are enormous. We're looking at evidence of a physical phenomenon that challenges our current scientific understanding. It's as if we've discovered advanced technology that's been hidden for 2,000 years. And if such a high level of energy was involved in creating the image, what does that say about the event it recorded? We're talking about an energy burst more powerful than anything we can produce with our most advanced technology. A potential event that could have changed the course of history. Let's bring this back to everyday life for a moment. What does this mean for us? For starters, it's a reminder that there's still so much we don't know about our world and history. It's easy to think the Shroud holds a special place for many reasons. For believers, it could offer physical evidence of a key event in their faith. For skeptics, it's an intriguing scientific puzzle. For historians, it's a unique glimpse into the past. But beyond these interests, the Shroud taps into a universal human desire to solve the mysteries of our existence. It makes us think about life, death, and what might come after. As research continues, we might discover new revelations, and future technologies could further unravel its mysteries. In the end, the Shroud's greatest value might not be in providing answers, but in inspiring us to ask deeper questions. It pushes us to expand our knowledge, reconcile contradictions, and challenge our understanding. As we study this remarkable artifact, we're reminded of a quote often attributed to Albert Einstein: "The most beautiful thing we can experience is the mysterious. It's the source of all true art and science."